Well, for more on this, we're now being joined by Jehan Pereira. He's joining us live from Colombo. He's the Executive Director of National Peace Council of Sri Lanka. Welcome to WION, Mr. Pereira. Now, votes from 60 of the 160 polling divisions have been counted, and earlier in the day we witnessed Dissanayake taking a lead, but the scenario right now as we speak, it has perhaps changed. Dissanayake is below 40%, while Premadasa has taken a lead with 33%. The race is clearly narrowing down. I want to seek your assessment as to how do you assess these numbers coming in, and in your opinion, will the presidential elections in Sri Lanka head for a second round, something which has never happened in the history of the island nation?
Yeah, it looks very much like the count will go into the second, because with only 40, the gap between the two main contestants is now quite close. And this will be the first time that in Sri Lanka's nearly 40 years of having presidential elections that a vote will be going into the second count. So we don't know for sure how many people have actually voted, given their second and third preferences. It will be a first time for us. Yes, the closeness of the contest is surprising now, because a few hours before, it seemed very much a one-sided contest with Anura Kumara Dissanayake of the National People's Party having a big lead. He won very big, especially with what we call the postal votes of mainly government officials and the military. When those votes were being looked at, he was getting over 50% in most parts of the country. And so it seemed that he was heading for a big victory. But now, when votes are being counted of the general population, and especially those in the rural hinterlands, I think now the situation is changing. What we can see here is that President Wickremesinghe is the main casualty, because he has not done as well as many thought he would do. Because, as you pointed out, when he took over a situation of economic collapse and even possible law and order collapse, and he restored normalcy very fast. However, I think what has happened here in this election is that the protest movement of 2022, its demands are still alive. And President Wickremesinghe did not address those key demands. What were those two key demands? It was not just that the economy collapsed, but that the people also demanded two key things. They asked for system change, which meant an end to corruption, endemic corruption. And second, they asked for new faces, neither of which President Wickremesinghe has been able to deliver on, or chose to deliver on.
Right, Mr. Pereira, you have given us a brief as to why the incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe's poor performance. He is currently at 17.44%. Let's also talk about the generational change of the Rajapaksas right now, from Mahinda Rajapaksa to Namal Rajapaksa, who has contested the elections, but he has just garnered 2.6% of the vote. My question to you is that, can the Rajapaksas be relevant in Sri Lanka after the polls?
Well, Mahinda Rajapaksa, the father of Namal, he will, I think, always retain a special place in the hearts of the Sinhalese majority, because he won the war. He led the Sri Lankan state to victory over the LTTE in a situation which many thought was not possible. And for that reason, the Rajapaksa family will have a special place. However, during his period, there was rampant corruption, impunity, corruption. They behaved they were not accountable to anyone, to the law. And I think Namal Rajapaksa now is paying the price of that, because the economic collapse of 2022 was blamed squarely on the Rajapaksa family. In fact, people blamed them perhaps too much. They really thought, I mean, the general feeling was that they had ransacked the dollars in our country and taken them abroad. And Namal Rajapaksa is now paying the price because people have not forgotten that.
But Mr. Pereira, you do speak of how Ranil Wickremesinghe has not really performed at the elections, and also Rajapaksa's poor performance. With a tight race between Premadasa and Dissanayake, do you think that the Sri Lankans are finally voting for a change? Because Dissanayake, who is currently leading with a small margin perhaps, he championed his campaign on eradication of poverty and corruption.
Yes, this is a vote for change, definitely, because both Premadasa and Dissanayake stand for change. Dissanayake stands for the more radical change. He stands actually for system change because his party has never had more than 5 to 6% of the vote before. And here he's on, they are a party that also on 2 occasions in Sri Lanka's history, in 1971 and 1988-89, they rose in revolt against the state. Tens of thousands died. So they belong to he belongs to a group that has never really had state power. So he promises real system change and anti-corruption. He doesn't have the vested interest. He's not tied to vested interests in the way the more mainstream parties are tied to. But Premadasa too, both of them say are for the common people. They see they would have more empathy for the suffering of the masses of people, including the middle classes. Because although the lines, the queues have ended, people's incomes are half of what they were. They are really suffering. The upper classes, can afford all this, and they are very happy and grateful that there are no shortages. But for the masses of people, although there are no shortages, they simply can't afford to buy these things. So both Premadasa and Dissanayake promised to alleviate, to address this as a priority concern. So yes, both of them stand for change, and both of them, in a way, in their own ways, are trying to deal with the protest, what the protest movement of 2022 asked for. Dissanayake, of course, more than Premadasa, who belongs to the establishment.
Right, Mr. Pereira, thank you for joining us from WION and sharing your insights with us on the Sri Lankan polls.